Hello, everybody. Welcome back from our very extended break. Obviously, our Division 3 series between Carthage and Purdue White went the way of Carthage. It was a 3-0 clinical victory, but now we're going to climb the ladder a couple rungs. We're going to scale all the way up to Division 1, where we've got two schools that definitely want to make a name for themselves. And hey, what better place to start than week 1 at the top of the table?
Yeah, as I mentioned before the break, Northwestern, who's one of our two teams today, kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, I'm part of the committee who ranks the collegiate teams for Overwatch. And, we're talking about, where we want to rank these different teams. And out of nowhere, in the NECC placement games for divisions, Northwestern takes down Georgia Tech and took down Warner as well. Those were two teams that were ranked, and Northwestern ended up getting ranked number 16th just based on how surprising and how big those upsets were. Going against UCSC, who has been one of those mainstay teams in Division 2, has now moved up to Division 1. No Zebra, who's been their tank for the longest time. So I'm really curious to see how this team has adapted.
Yeah, and just talking about Northwestern's kind of, I don't want to say totally unexpected journey, but it's kind of the trend that we saw last semester. You mentioned a team as in Warner, where we had a few schools that essentially, for lack of better wording, they came out of the woodworks and just basically took over the collegiate league or collegiate scene by storm. And even if they didn't end up winning any national championships, we saw at least 4 or 5 schools where they came in, and even me and you saw Warner and went, whoa, that doesn't look like just a good Division X team. That just looks like a damn good Overwatch team. So I'm very excited to see if Northwestern can kind of keep that momentum rolling. Obviously, like you said, UCSC, when you got to the top division now, this is exactly what they were playing for last year. You want to get to Division 1. You want to play the best of the best. This should be a very even matchup, at least on paper.
Yeah, and we all will kick things off this time with the classic Lijiang Tower map #1. And if it's anything like our last series, wouldn't surprise me if we're in for more Zarya. Then did I say that? But Vendetta has been ripped by UCSC as that first ban, while the response from Northwestern is to ban that Ramatra, which those are two heroes I could have expected pretty highly on a map like Lijiang Tower. So now my head, if we're going to play more ground and pound, goes more toward Azaria and Orisa, possibly a Mauga. But let's see where the teams are going to go. It looks like they are both going to go Czar. We do see currently Kimbus on that Reaper, which we saw that last series when Vendetta was banned, that the Reaper comes in with the Czar Reaper. Very classic composition. Northwestern, at least, they were highlighting the Genji with QWERTY. It's another, classic thing where the Genji wants to be just as aggressive as the Reaper and really does better with the bubbles. The Reaper just has a lot more damage, and the composition is definitely more potent with the Reaper. So I want to see how this goes.
And I mean, listen, a lot of these Genji players, I feel like if you're a really good Genji player, Vendetta is certainly something that's going to naturally fall into your wheelhouse. It's not the same play style, but it's very similar. It is get in your face, do as much damage as I can, assassinate one of the backline, and then fly out of there at max speed. So let's see exactly how the Genji versus Sojourn matchup. Obviously, you mentioned the Reaper coming in for Kimba, so a few variations here between the two comps. And so far, though, no one going to fall. A lot of chip damage going on to a few of the backline members. Requiem doing a great job to lock down the front line, and that's going to mean UCSC will scoop up a first.
Yeah, and again, we see Kimbus and the power of the Reaper already coming through strong, being able to throw down loads of damage onto Ronin. Clearly, we saw them aggressively trying to go after Love on that Lucio, but the boots were there. The Genji just doesn't have, it's hard for the Genji to be able to get in and find these kills very quickly, especially with all the healing at the disposal for UCSC.
Yeah, Genji certainly can be a thorn in the side, but just that Vendetta, even though it does look a little flashier, the Vendetta just feels like you get a little more oomph, especially, right? It's a brand new hero. It has received a small nerf, but it's still damn strong. It's basically a release hero still, so definitely should be something to look out later in the series. Obviously not here now, but right now, UCSC, it was just a clinical, really methodical first two team fight wins, but when the backline gets shredded, I was about to say that means Northwestern, it is finally time to hit the go button. You finally find all the kills. A nice team kill too, so they pulled the trigger. They all connect well with each other, and that's going to force the Slugs to go on the respawn.
Nice patience coming out from Ronin, who got really high charged really early and got a lot of pressure on the Kimbas and forced them out. But they got low, but they were just patient, got their healing up, re-engaged, and the rest of their team with YT, all of them being able to find big-time picks.
Oh yeah, that overclock to Kitsune, the beat, every single ultimate essentially getting unleashed here. QWERTY surviving with the Dragon's Blade, did get a reset, but eventually the overclock out of YT just a little bit too powerful with the combination of the damage out of Meek and Echo. That is UCSC sent packing back-to-back tries, and that's going to draw a swap out of QWERTY as well. They're going to pop over to the Mei now. Now that Northwestern is essentially the ones playing defense, I think that Mei is going to suit them very, very well on Lijiang.
Double support ultimates coming out from UCSCA, which is not going to be easy when you're facing down a grab in this next fight. But wow, YT gets the rail shot to an overclocking super gnome.
Yeah, and it looks like the rest of the team not in any better of a situation. The Sojourn is absolutely slamming. That was a triple or a quadra kill for Super Gnome. That is or for YT, sorry. That is exactly what you are looking for out of the Sojourn, and that is why it is a pick that is just as tried and true as any hero in Overwatch at this point, just consistently good if you're in the right spots.
New situation with Northwestern where UCSC is going to have two big ultimates with the grab and the death blossom. Meek did get the sound very in time. Let's see.
Yeah, Graviton is going to go up. The wall's going to go up to try to split the fight a little bit, but the tank's going to get active a little bit. Requiem is going to be the one to draw first blood onto Ronin. The only exchange they find so far is through Kimbus, and now it is going to be UCSC forced to retreat, at least for the moment. Maybe YT, though, still could possibly get cooking. They've got a bit of a pincer maneuver here on a few of the players. The bubble's going to keep them alive for a moment, but QWERTY's going to invest the Blizzard, so Northwestern, they want to make sure they lock down this time as long as they can, but in the process of the fight, we did actually see that UCSC did flip the point.
They did 93% in counting as they get Kimbus. That's going to be the ghost side for Northwestern.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and then we see a boop onto Super Gnome as well, so Meek, the Battle Lucio certainly getting active in the late going in Northwestern. UCSC with a hell of a counter punch there, but I think that may just be the round. Potentially one or two players maybe, but that may, well, yeah, that's going to be it.
Northwestern, UCSC both coming out in this first map with some highlight plays, some great situations. UCSC were definitely getting good advantage with the Reaper Zarya combination. With Northwestern, who was being, a little bit more off meta, playing the Genji, playing the Mei, definitely had to find their angles and their opportunities a lot. It's a lot harder to make that composition work, but they found their moments and their opportunities and made it happen. So I'd be curious to see now that we're heading in, look like Gardens that we were heading to next. Are we going to continue to see the Mei out of Northwestern? Are they going to make any kind of adjustments? As we can already see, coming out from the Slugs, Kimbus getting off the Reaper, going over to the Echo, because this is Gardens. You got more rain and control of the skies.
Yeah, and I want to see UCSC. Can you lock down YT? I saw 5.5k damage, 19 eliminations, no deaths. That was a flawless plus round for the Sojourn. Obviously, Northwestern played around the DPS extremely well, made sure they were staying facilitated. But just the shots, you saw the triple kill in the last round. You see a lot of great shots going out early as well. Takes a lot of chunk damage out of the Echo, but then you've got QWERTY there to support the Echo duel. It's going to be won by Northwestern, and they're going to scoop up a few more kills. Super Gnome down to 1 HP, looking to escape, and now QWERTY going to fly in on the Echo, absolutely kick in the front door, force that Kiriko back to the spawn, and Northwestern locking down the first fight with 2 more kills from Ronin.
This entire Northwestern team is starting to make their names known. I know from here on out in collegiate, QWERTY, YT, Ronin, Meek, Echo, we're going to remember those as this NECC season continues to grow and deliver. But for the side Northwestern, they're just playing aggressive, man. QWERTY is just showing so much flexibility. We've already seen 3 different heroes out of them.
True, yeah, honestly, I say, throughout they played something up, they played the Genji and then into the Mei and then now obviously onto the Echo, and honestly finding the same high level of success on all of them. There was no noticeable drop off from the Mei. It was all situational. Listen, we're playing defense now, I gotta bust out the Mei. I need mobility on this point, I'm gonna bust out the Echo, and then they're gonna rip apart the entire team. Yeah, that was an absolute combination from QWERTY and crew, and the ultimate still sitting online. Northwestern winning a clean round of fight there, and every single ultimate slowly creeping up for him.
Yeah, that duplicate was the first one to get online for QWERTY. The question is who they look to dupe here. Obviously, this double Zarya could go insane. Is exactly what they're going to do.
And then Echo's going to draw blood in the fight to take down Super Gnome. Requiem's going to get taken down as well. YT still back there shooting. And yep, what's more dangerous than one Zarya? How about a second one potentially? That is going to be Northwestern finding a few more kills. Meek and YT are getting absolutely active right now, and
Thanks.
UCSC, they've just got to basically pop this Kitsune rush. Kimbus needs to get a good replicate, and they just need to go.
80% in counting for Northwestern, so UCSC has to get moving now, but QWERTY found Super Gnome.
Yeah, that is the 5th or 6th fight where QWERTY instantly finds the first blood. It was with the grenade combo that time, the explosives paying off. Now you're going to force a Northwestern beat. Well, I guess they're just going to decide to use the beat drop, hold them back at the spawn, and basically call game on this team fight. UCSC doesn't even get to use 2 of their ultimates in the entire round. Talk about Northwestern turning up the temperature there right at the end.
We talked about Carthage making a statement. That was another statement made by Northwestern. As we talked about in the preamble, they have come out of nowhere and have been putting their stamp on collegiate in there. I mean, we're talking about a landscape of collegiate, no more Redbirds, so we know the number 1 team is just not existing anymore. So the field is pretty wide open. I mean, you still got your top teams like your Northwoods, your Fishers, your St. Clairs of the world. But outside of that, the field is open and Northwestern is taking advantage and they are showing out so far. QWERTY being a big highlight of this team.
Yeah, and the big thing for a lot of these teams, and this goes more so especially in Division 1, because the margins of error are virtually non-existent against so many teams. So anytime you have a matchup like this where theoretically, like I said, kind of even on paper, neither one of these teams is necessarily a national championship contender, at least as of now. And these are 2 teams that are probably going to be scrapping to fight for a playoff spot or try to sneak in at the last minute. So make sure you rack up these wins, play well against the teams, beat the teams that you should beat. If you're Northwestern, this has got to be your mindset going into the map 2 and the map 3, but they looked very, very good on that Lijiang, and that round 2 especially, to see them just have a bit of, I don't want to say a rough round, it was very competitive, a bit fist fighty, and then round 2 they're just like, flick the switch, we got them.
Yeah, once they got rolling, it was hard for them. Like the first team fight was a little rough playing the Genji, and it took them a minute to get their footing. But as I mentioned, I mean, once they had the momentum, they very little let that go and had a great first map. But now the power gets shifted into the Slugs' favor. They get to pick what map they want out of the entire field. And then we got obviously bans coming online. We talked about, you kind of mentioned it. If you're good at Genji, there is a good chance you have picked up that Vendetta character. So that is now going to be available for the rest of this series for the side of Northwestern.
And that's the interesting thing. It's like, I know obviously you have YT and then you had QWERTY as well, but seeing what they did on the Sojourn, I just wonder, because these players, I know obviously the Sojourn is flashy and it worked really well with that comp, but when I see a player just able to take over a map like that so easily and find these targets when they need to, isolate them, find the railgun shots, I'm like, what are they going to be able to do when they get any of these other heroes in their hands as well? Because now it's
YT literally hit a rail shot on an overclocking enemy Sojourn. Like, it was absolutely disgusting. I agree. I mean, we don't know if they play the Vendetta. We're just theorizing based on the Genji, but they get that at their disposal, pairing that with YT, Sojourn, and Ronin, Zarya, that has looked picture perfect so far. This could be bad news for the Slugs. So they got to figure out something, a good map. Maybe you go to a map where Zarya's not as good, a dive-oriented map like a Gibraltar, maybe like a Hollywood. And if you're going to go to a brawl map, maybe you ban the Zarya and try and make the Vendetta's job that much harder because they won't have bubbles at their disposal.
Yeah, that's the thing, especially for the Slugs, just trying to find some sort of adjustment. And I do think there was a few bright spots to take away from Lijiang. They won a few really clean fights where they just walked up, comboed everything perfectly, and basically everyone just gets wiped away in an instant. But it's winning the 3rd and 4th fight after Northwestern finally gets those ultis. They finally get the angle they're looking for. YT creates some space for themselves. So Esperanza is going to be map 2. So the Slugs, obviously some level of comfortability or just something that they like, maybe a look that they've seen in scrims or otherwise, but definitely interested to see exactly how they're going to come out now, what band they're going to want to try to come through, because Overwatch, right, okay, it is going to be the Zarya, so you did call it. I was going to say, Zarya is obviously annoying on every single map, but there's so many good heroes in Overwatch. It's like, ban one, get rolled by another.
Yeah, I think the thing with Esperanza, though, is it is considered much more of a dive-oriented map where you play more Winston Diva, but it's not like you must play dive like a Gibraltar, so you can still play Zarya. So I think for the Slugs, coming to this map where it's mostly die, but you can play other things, and just getting rid of this other thing that Northwestern can play, it's going to force it more into a situation they want to play, which seems like it might be more dive oriented. Maybe they play their Ramatra because we, saw that, but I think it was a well-picked map and ban coming out from the Slugs. Gives them the best chance to make something happen.
Yeah, and Zarya, I feel like, honestly, like the best Zarya player, I feel like more so than other heroes, you just have so much influence on the game, and you can really just be the most annoying person in the server. Anyone that's played Overwatch, you know exactly what I'm talking about when there's that 22-0 Zarya that no one can seem to kill for whatever reason, and she ends up just running everything and then some. So Northwestern, we are going to see the Vendetta YT. I love that they're sticking on the Sojourn, honestly, if that's going to be your quote-unquote hit scan DPS. What a person to put in that role. Requiem is going to hop over to the Ramatra. We are going to see Love My Mom scooping up the Wu Yang, and Kimpus from the Reaper to the Tracer.
I will say I did not have Sigma with Vendetta on my bingo board. It's going to make things very interesting because Sigma is very, let me keep my distance and let me poke, while Cordy on the Vendetta's on. I want to get in there and slash some things, man. It's very it's like very opposing ideas of how they want to play.
Yeah, I almost wonder if them picking the Sigma was just assuming that the Slugs were going to lock in Vendetta, because theoretically the rock with Sigma can be very, very annoying for her. You basically just get to shut down her dive. So maybe they were trying to predict the Vendetta. Maybe Ronan really just does like playing Sigma gaming, and Sigma can be very, very powerful as well if the team's playing around it. And if you're able to find kills like that, it doesn't take a whole lot of pizzazz to win the team fight. Northwestern, they get everything they are looking for, and then some. Only one player left alive. Ramatra down. Team kill for Northwestern.
Yeah, I feel like with the Slugs in the competition they're playing with the Ram and the Tracer, you need to look and get on top of this backline and put pressure on the Sigma. You cannot give Ronan space just to free fire and have all this space. Well, that's what the Sigma wants. You cannot continue to give them exactly that.
Kimbus going to decide to go over to the Genji now, so maybe what you said, trying to get to the back line, isolate one of these supports out, make the Sigma's life a little bit harder to stay alive. Obviously not a very mobile hero, but speaking of mobile, Qwerty, that is, yeah, you can get 100-0 from this hero at any given time, so that Vendetta's got to be tracked the entire time. YT is going to win the opposing duel on the Sojourn. Supernome not able to make up for that one. Kimbus and LJ, though, that is what you're looking for out of the UCSC DPS. They're able to find the kills, and they're able to slowly push that robot back to their side, but Northwestern, they got more than enough to hold on, and the Kitsune will be the opening tool.
Now they're going to flux as well to try and put some pressure. They get the Wu Yang, they're looking for more.
Yeah, that was a nice shot out of the air with Ronan. The rocks go flying, and now we're going to see a Kitsune out of LJ. UCSC, they had like their chances in this extended fight, but Northwestern's health bars have all been fully replenished and then some. And speaking of health replenished, he's going to pop the ultimate, so that means Qwerty's got a whole lot of health to deal with, a lot of sustain on the Vendetta. YT, of course, still shooting straight. And Northwestern, yet again, once they get that last stagger on the Ramatra, it is another team fight win for them.
That was super unfortunate for the Slugs. They had a great re-engage with the Kitsune rush. Unfortunately, Kimbus just got railed by YT. Yeah. It just, it was basically the fight was done and over at that point. No value out of the rush. Northwestern able to live, and that's all she wrote. YT's now going to have an overclock as well, but Love has been holding on to this bubble. Could be a nice defensive tool to deal with that overclock.
Ooh, wow, that's how you deal. I mean, listen, that's a heat check on the Vendetta where I'm expecting to see a lot of those this semester, honestly, maybe less so as it goes on, but listen, this is some of the first time these players get to stretch their legs in an official with Vendetta, so I'm fully expecting a few oopsies here and there. Northwestern still in firm control of the game, but it did get the Slugs some momentum that they were desperately trying to find.
As maintaining control of these high grounds can be very important. There goes the annihilation on the side of the Slugs.
Yeah, the overclock out of Supernome as well. They're going to see if they can find any last-second picks, but it looks like YT from the opposing head glitch actually able to take down the Wu Yang, so it's going to be one player dead apiece, but Ronan being down means that I don't know if Northwestern actually has a great angle into the backline, but when the Ramatra's getting executed by the Vendetta, Qwerty's just able to take over the fight, and Northwestern, everything that went wrong has been corrected in 7 sword swipes.
And you can see why they banned the Vendetta on map number 1. Qwerty is just a maniac. I mean, sometimes flies a little close to the sun, but generally speaking, tends to be making big time plays. Still have a Kitsune rush available for Northwestern as well as UCSC used so many of their ultimates in that previous fight. They're running out dry. So this could be another huge distance gain for the side of Northwestern.
Yeah, Northwestern right now, 5.5 left on the clock, so certainly plenty of game left, but everybody knows how push can be. It can be very streaky, very momentum-based, and when you're able to get the Genji out of his little perch, that's going to be fantastic news for QWERTY. At the very least, you take control of the building, you force UCSC back, and in the meantime, you take down Requiem with the Ramatra. Ronan able to link up with the support and DPS combo, and that means Northwestern, they can just continue on marching. They're going to be at about 100 meters here before any sensible contest is able to even materialize for the Slugs.
And again, still, QWERTY just does not let up. Ruthless gets the stagger onto Canvas. They've turned the final corner. They still have plenty of ultimates at their disposal. UCSC only has a rush.
I would love to show that clip to Genji players in like 2017 and say, listen, one day there will be a hero stronger than you that does what you do. They probably wouldn't believe their eyes, but that is the beauty of QWERTY and just how well they're able to pilot this hero. And in the meantime, I mean, look at this. The Swordsmith is just hacking the backline 1v5 essentially at the spawn and finding kills alongside of it. Northwestern, they are cruising and bruising, and the Slugs are about, what, 1 meter away from the L here? This game is dusted.
Yeah,
look at this.
I mean, there's still time on the clock, but more picks are just coming in, as that's going to be all she wrote. Northwestern takes a commanding 2-0 lead in this series with their first official game in NECC Division 1. They're looking strong, just like their 16th placing in the top 20 rankings.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know what clip this is going to be because it could be the whole game. Yeah, that's a good choice. That was a critical team fight, executes the Ramatra. And yeah, folks, this is why you need some seriously hard focus or some serious lockdown or CC. Otherwise, that's just what's going to happen against a good Vendetta. For anyone that's been getting beat up in solo queue like myself, you need to coordinate a team effort to stop that hero. And then the problem is, it's like double teaming a good 3-point shooter. Somebody else is going to be wide open to take a real good shot at you. So it is very, very hard to manage when you let a Vendetta just, I mean, she was literally hitting hurricanes in the spawn door.
I mean, this is going to be interesting because obviously Northwestern's looking good. QWERTY's looking good on the Vendetta. Thinking about the patch coming out on Tuesday, that's going to release all the new heroes. Plus, there's going to be perk and balance changes. Vendetta's been OP for a long time. People have been asking for a nerf. I would not be shocked if we see a Vendetta nerf coming into this next patch. So this may be the 1 week where we get to see Vendetta shine, and she might take a little bit of a backseat for a little while. So, enjoy it. I mean, if you don't enjoy it, then I'm sure you're looking forward to Tuesday, most likely. Crossing our fingers that she gets a little bit of a nerf. If not, enjoy it while you still have it, because I feel like a lot of people are wanting Blizzard to give her a nerf.
And listen, the thing with new heroes is we know the nerf is coming. It's probably going to be, I don't want to even call it an over nerf because this hero has been absolutely abusive, but they will get taken down 2 to 3 power levels, and then 4 months later, they'll kind of creep them back into the middle where there's some level of balance. But yeah, right now, listen, to all the players out there, use it before you lose it. This hero is clearly very strong, and above all, it is entertaining to watch somebody just playing at 800 APM, flying all over the screen, just taking people out. So that was a big map. That was a big win for Northwestern, up 2-0 in the series. Now ball in the Slugs court yet again. This is potentially our last map of the evening. As Ray said earlier, they're going to get full selection of map mode. We're going to see what bans are going to come through, and we're going to see if they can extend the series to kick off our week 1 D1 matchup. More NECC back to y'all in a few minutes. Welcome back from the very short break. We've got more Overwatch 2 for now. We're going to drop that in due time, but we've got Northwestern up 2-0 right now over the UCSC Slugs. And I'll tell you what, I always hate to be the guy that's like, oh, look at the DPS, but when you put the shiny new hero in front of me and this guy's hitting 180, wall bounce, 360, spin to wins on the entire team's backline, it's certainly something to note. The Vendetta has been a problem, but obviously the rest of Northwestern, you gave them some proper gas coming into the series saying, listen, they beat some really good teams to get where they are now, and they're clearly ready to fight for everything. And right now, you could not ask for a better start than what they've put up.
Agreed. I do want to highlight Ronan a little bit. Like Sigma, Not really the best tank in the game right now. I mean, especially Zarya. Like Zarya goes pretty hard into Sigma right now. I mean, obviously Zarya was banned that last map, but to be making Sigma work like the way they had been, even Ram can be tough to deal with as a Sigma just because pop form, run at Sigma. It's hard to deal with. And they played extremely well. But yeah, definitely the highlights have been YT and QWERTY. As we go into map number 3, possibly the last one. I expect more of the same from this squad. UCSC, as we mentioned, I think they did as best as they could when it came to choosing map and bans. So to me, that doesn't bode as well for this final map, but who knows? They had a break. Hopefully, they locked in and are ready to try and make this reverse sweep happen.
Yeah, listen, gotta just start with this map 3. So I hopefully, and again, I'm not even sure where they necessarily want to go from here. We're gonna get a double dose of Atlas today. I am certainly not opposed. Get a little bit of the new-ish flavor, I guess, as far as our casting is gone. But UCSC, obviously, I was gonna say obviously a map that they clearly like or they feel comfortable on. But I could have said the same thing about map 2, and then that map was even worse than map 1 as far as the score line went. So UCSC basically just forget the first 2 maps happened. The best thing you can do is just short-term amnesia. Go into this Atlas, try out maybe a new comp, try to see if you can shut down one, maybe try to focus even one player that you can shut down and then see if you can kind of work the fight around that. Because just taking these like straight up 5v5s, I mean, they're clearly, at least for now, a step behind what Northwestern's got cooking.
Yes, I mean, only time's going to tell what's going to happen with this series unfolding. Northwestern definitely has been super dominant so far, full capping East Bronson with 4 minutes on the clock. Lijiang Tower, it was 100-70 and then 100-0. As we do see the bans coming in, the Slugs are going to ban the Genji, but I expect more Vendetta on this map. Northwestern throwing in the life, it feels like, yeah, they're just playing with their feet at this point. It just feels like a throwaway ban.
Yeah, I mean, Life Weaver said just like very, very, very situational, and even then, still not the most popular of picks. So that's probably them just saying we don't feel like playing against the Life Weaver, or we don't really care. And like you said, the Genji ban, I'm sure that's going to be nice, but Vendetta does exist. She already went through the ban phase earlier, so that's going to get through either way. And even YT could honestly just rock the Sojourn and probably find similar results, which would be very, very high ceiling for Northwestern. I mean, there was no lack from either of those backline players at all so far.
Yeah, so for the Slugs, it is now or never, trying to make something happen for Northwestern, hoping to make this a nice, clean, easy 3-0. As we talked about, they have taken down some ranked opponents. Warner, I believe, is still ranked. I'm not 100% sure on that. Georgia Tech, for sure, is still ranked. They obviously, Northwestern ranked 16th. They are no stranger to beating some of the top teams in collegiate Overwatch. Let's see how the Slugs will respond to being down 2-0.
And listen, the game as mixy as Overwatch can get, it's not necessarily, not every fight is going to be an equal footing. So even if you are in theory a quote unquote like worse team, you can still find the better angle in the right spot. And some of these maps, the difference we see is literally 1 or 2 kills sometimes that ends up changing the entire complexion of a map. So UCSC just got to try to find some small bright spots here and there. If you can target the DPS, great. If not, maybe try to focus everything onto the tank player and Ronin, because as you said, they've been instrumental in just being a rock in the center of the entire operation and really not moving. So UCSC, certainly their work cut out for them. We did have a player crash. They should be loading back in a few seconds. But UCSC, maybe that extra 30 seconds, give them a little time to say, listen, it's map 3. We better lock in. We're going to get this done.
Hopefully, as we did get the confirmation that they are here in the lobby, so we will be getting into this map very shortly, folks. Just to recap a little bit what's happened, if you just tuned in, Northwestern versus the Slugs, Lijiang Tower dominating victory for Northwestern. And then they went into Esperanza, and it was more of the same, full capped with 4 minutes on the clock. Let's see how the Slugs can respond as we enter what could be the final map.
Yeah, Northwestern certainly living up to the reputation. And this is exactly the kind of school, this is exactly the kind of storyline I want to see, especially week 1 of collegiate. These guys were cooking before week 1 even started, carry that momentum into the start of the season in the biggest division with the biggest stakes. You could not ask for a better introduction into D1 NECC, but the job is not finished. We are gonna hit the keys a little bit, play us a fine tune from the Slugs, still in good spirits, getting the party popping. 5 seconds to go and this is their potential last shot against the big bad Northwestern.
Here we go, Northwestern running it back with the same composition. No surprises here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. UCSC going back with Kimbus on the Reaper. It did have its good moments on Lijiang Tower. Let's see if they can continue to carry that over.
And I think they're going to need UCSC. They're going to need a massive performance out of either Gnome or Kimbus, because obviously it's a team game. Everybody has to fill their role. But you do at some point just need your DPS to say, give me the ball, let me go score that thing, because otherwise you got people like QWERTY and YT with Ronan, Meek, and Echo going unchecked. But Requiem being alive with Mom potentially gives them an angle if they can keep the Lucio alive, but unfortunately not. Northwestern able to scoop up the kill, and that is a huge stagger onto Requiem as well. That means the Slugs are going to be back into the spawn, and Northwestern jumps on the point.
With the wave spawns, they'll be back relatively quickly, but again, it's just a lot of ult charge for both these DPS members. Even Echo, who we haven't talked a lot about on this Kiriko, has been silently been a killer. They have been getting a lot of assassinations early in some of these fights, so another name to continue to keep an eye on.
Ain't that a beautiful thing if you're Northwestern, where you can look to your left and your right all the way down the line at the squad, and you're like, I've got everyone's back here. They've all got my back. My DPS are absolutely insane. You see me getting in action with the right-click boop as well to get the final blow. So Northwestern picking up where they left off 5-10 minutes ago. They are wasting no time getting active, and I just love that QWERTY is just everywhere all at the same time. It's fantastic to watch.
As we're going to see the Vendetta ult coming out, a lot of damage taken by QWERTY. Has to zoom on out of there. They're trapped, though. Get taken down, but YT's found two.
Oh, what a beautiful thing from YT. We see one of those Vendetta heat checks that I was expecting to see a few more of. And ultimately, it's fine because the Vendetta draws 4 sets of eyes. We do actually have a cheeky pause, it would appear. Not sure team or situation, obviously, but Northwestern certainly feeling good after the first flashpoint. They looked damn good. We do see, looks like YT maybe overclocked themselves out of the server potentially. Maybe the same player that crashed a minute ago is. So I guess, listen, the Sojourn gun overheating the PC a little too much, I can definitely understand. But Northwestern, I mean, that looked textbook to what we saw mere minutes ago.
Their PC said, we have to nerf you. That was too good. You gotta get out of this server, buddy. You're QWERTY fed, but you made up for it, and it was such a good play that we can't let that happen. Your teammate fed and you still won the fight. Like, no, get out of here.
That's, and for UCSC, not that you're going to get down on yourself after one flashpoint, but it literally looks just like the map they just played at Esperanza, where you have Vendetta just going into the backline saying, I don't care if I die. I'm certain I'm going to get 1. Most cases, I'm getting 2 or 3. So this is going to be a net positive regardless. And then YT just sitting back far as they can with that long rifle, just ready to get any of the stragglers that walk out. So Northwestern certainly looking very, very good. UCSC gotta find a way to chain these ultimates together, find a big team fight. And if QWERTY's gonna go do that fun stuff in the backline, you've got to just take care of them instantly and move on and go get the next target.
Yeah, I mean, the issue was, wasn't a lot you could do with an overclock. It's really hard to deal with as an ultimate. So YT just happened to get that up really quick, but they did deal with QWERTY relatively easy. It was just, they got railed constantly from the overclock, and that was just too much damage to, it's not like they had bead or Kitsune Rush or something. They were just kind of stuck where they were. As we're going to get you guys right back in. First point cap for Northwestern as we are heading to the next point. Can't tell which one it is yet. Looks like it's Gardens.
Northwestern, YT, QWERTY, obviously the 2 DPS we've been ogling over, playing it very well, but Ronan, Meek, and Echo, you've called it the Kiriko finding a lot of first picks. I've seen Meek getting a lot of kills, and I haven't seen Meek dying a lot, which is the biggest sign of a very strong Lucio player, is just know your role, play, position yourself correctly, and make sure you steroid all of your teammates as often as possible. QWERTY going to try to give chase to said Lucio, actually going to try to see if they can hit the line onto the back line. The bubble comes through as well on the back of the Kitsune Rush from Echo. The only one that's going to fall in the crossfire is Meek, but everybody else, including that DPS Kiriko, going to town on UCSC.
Dude, I kid you not. Like, I watch these Vendetta players, and I'm just like, how does your mind keep track? Like, these movements are just ridiculous. Oh, man. But gamers be gamers, man. Very well done by QWERTY. UCSC, this is the best chance they're going to have at trying to win this point and get some percentage going. 3 ultimates, Death Blossom, and double supports. They're in a pretty good spot, but they have to be prepared for this Ronin grab.
Yeah, they do pop the Kitsune early as well, so LJ maybe trying to rotate the team to a good spot to see if they can chain said ultimates together. Ronin invests the Graviton, and now Meek's just going to send in the beat drop to make sure that Northwestern has no chance of losing this fight, and it looks pretty good so far. But Requiem able to find an answer onto Meek, and it looks like UCSC putting up a fairly good contest, but there is still a Vendetta that has eyes on the prize. The Sojourn in Supernome desperately trying to get away. The sword actually connects mid-air as well, and Northwestern, again, they're in control of the point. They are racking up the percentage. They are loving this situation.
They are being down a tank, just gives so much advantage for this enemy. Zarya and Ronin being able to push up. Death Blossom finds one, but it's all for naught. Second point going to be captured for Northwestern.
Yeah, I fear the Slugs may have given their last gasp of air there for the series. You never want to call game before it's over, but 4 ultimates get used in that fight. They don't really get used in a tandem that made any sense. The Kitsune Rush felt a little bit early. No one really follows up. Then ultimately the Death Blossom just feels far too late trying to make that 1v5 play, and that's what Northwestern has UCSC doing. Just got them panicking, playing a little bit out of themselves. And now you've got dueling overclocks. Can anybody break the stalemate? QWERTY just takes to the sky and takes out Noman. Back to the team.
Yeah, that's good about the Vendetta when you get someone low like YT did with Supernome. They kind of got away. Doesn't matter. You throw your sword in there, you can get the kill pretty quick. Or you just throw your slash projectile out and you're able to find those kills. So unfortunately for Supernome, and they still have 2 ultimates due Northwestern, but QWERTY's down.
Yeah, the Vendetta actually taken down early, and that means Echo now going to pop the Kitsune to see if they can win this second effort there. It looks like Ronin possibly able to line up a kill or two. There are so many blinking health bars on the UCSC side, and finally the killing blows come through. YT going unchecked in the side hall, Meek's getting active with the crew, and the Railgun finishing off the Lucio. That is a team kill for Northwestern, and they did it 4v5.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, you're able to win these fights down 1 consistently. Didn't even have to commit an ultimate to that fight either. This has just been an insane showing from this Northwestern squad.
Just quite visibly, at least from this series, just no weakness on the team. No one even really playing like okay. Everyone's playing incredible for them right now. And now it's an absolute combo. They get dunked on in the Graviton Surge. Northwestern doing Northwestern things. QWERTY mixtaping the Slugs toward the end of the game. Yeah, puts them on World Star, and Northwestern 98, 99, and the big triple digits for a 3-0 crazy strong series out of Northwestern.
Again, Northwestern is showing, you know, why the committee put them up so high after great placements in NECC to open up into Division 1, and then comes into this first match of the regular season of the spring semester and absolutely dominates. The thing, you know, obviously you're expected to beat some of the UCSCs of the world. You know, they're not obviously, you know, in that caliber that they have been beating recently. I need to see from this Northwestern squad. I don't know. I didn't check which group they're in, but they're bound to have some of those top teams in, whether that's BSC, Northwood, Fisher, NC State. I want to see how they can start punching up and how they do against those teams. Because like I said, the field's pretty wide open outside of Northwood at number 1. And, you know, maybe Northwood, Fisher, St. Clair, Winthrop, like those 4, it's like everything else completely open.
I think you nailed that perfectly. It's that no shade to UCSC, but obviously they're not right that top 6, that upper echelon. So to see Northwestern just handle them as easily as they did, not even really break us, like they didn't break a sweat the entire series. Round 1 of Control was kind of competitive for about 2 minutes. After that, I think they maybe lost 1 team fight. QWERTY inted 3 to 4 times. It still didn't matter. They won 2 fights 5v4 with no ultimates being used. So clearly that team is on a very, very strong level. They looked very cohesive playing around each other. And you said it perfectly. I need to see them play one of these better teams now. And because then you get that real, okay, where are they going to line up going forward in the rest of the semester?
So it's going to be one thing to keep an eye out going forward. For the Slugs, again, I expected some growing pains. They had to refactor their roster, no Zebra anymore. So I expect as the season goes on for them to start springing together some wins and some better showings there. It was just going to be a rough one when they're still recalibrating their roster. But just a reminder of how our day went today. We did have our first match, Purdue White against Carthage Firebirds Red. That was a dominating 3-0 performance. And then we came into this match for Division One, and you saw what happened. Northwestern absolutely dominated.
Yeah, they put it on them, UCSC, that entire series. That was truly impressive, and I will be circling in red marker that matchup when they do play at Northwood of Fisher after we check the group and see who they end up or who they have the possibility of playing. But that was just the two series that we had for tonight to cap off week one of NECC. But obviously, it's week one of the semester. We got games all week till all the way through nationals later on in May. Go to the schedule for next week since we won't see y'all for a couple days. Valorant obviously going to be kicking off on Monday. We've got Marvel Rivals on Tuesday, CS2 and some Rocket League action on Wednesday, little split stream, League of Legends on Thursday, and then obviously got to cap off Friday with some Overwatch, especially with all of the fun news
We'll
recently.
be dropping
But
the 2 next week too. On Tuesday, I
we
believe
will
they
be
officially
dropping the
dropped the
2.
2. Yeah.
We will be dropping the 2. That's going to be a very exciting week for us. We're going to have a lot to talk about next week. But that being said, everybody go enjoy the rest of your weekends. Hope you all have some fun Super Bowl plans, obviously. I love Drake May. Go Pats. We're hoping out for the best here. See if I'm coming back with a happy or a sad tone next Friday. But listen, we're used to it over here, so we'll take it on the chin there. But thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Big shout out to Chippy, Reach, and obviously Ray for joining me on a fantastic week one back here at NECC. Have a great weekend. Take care of each other. We'll see y'all next week for a fresh slate of games.